TV adaptations of video game franchises have a pretty long history of not being amazing. Really subpar at best, with the exception of a few outliers. But I don't even know how some of these got released even. So today I want to go over my personal favorite, or least favorite I guess, adaptations, as well as why I think these shows or movies rarely turn out good. And kind of a little disclaimer, some of these shows or movies are actually really solid like I said, so today I'm going to be focusing a little more on the ones that are actually near unwatchable. Also, thanks for the support on the last video. It's currently the most viewed video on my channel, which is actually amazing. So consider this a 10 sub special. But anyways, with that said, this movie I'm about to talk about actually came out pretty recently, and that is the Borderlands movie. Wow, look at all these stunning reviews. Critics are absolutely eating this up. I watched this thing about halfway through, which was honestly a mistake because I enjoy the Borderlands games, and I can firmly say that the reviews are not lying. It's just not a good movie, and I was pretty intrigued when it first got announced. But they fumbled the bag so hard. I like a lot of people on the cast as well, but they don't really fit inside of a Borderlands movie. This is like the cast of a movie somebody would put together if they started watching movies 2 days ago. Like having Kevin Hart in an action movie is the equivalent of having water in a river. I like Kevin Hart and that was just an example, but they could have found people who better fit the characters. But maybe they knew that the movie was going to be dog shit, so they just got a bunch of big names together to make at least a little bit of a return in profits. But the casting isn't my only issue with this movie. I think another thing they messed up on is adapting an M-rated game into a PG-13 movie. This just led to a watered down worse version of the Borderlands world. There was also all the drama and shit behind the scenes, and overall it was just disappointing. 2 thumbs down from me for sure, but hopefully they can salvage the reputation of Borderlands with their next game. Doing my research and all that for this video, I actually found a lot of movies I didn't even know existed. Like a fucking Postal movie and a bunch of Resident Evil movies. But I'm gonna stick to movies and shows I've actually seen or at least tried to watch, so I can give my takes on them better. But now on to the next shitty movie. And this is another somewhat recent one, being Five Nights at Freddy's. And I really don't know how to feel about this one. So I saw the FNAF movie in theaters, and I guess it was just about as good as you could expect, but it really wasn't egregious like the Borderlands movie was. And I also grew up with FNAF, so I really wanted to like it. But my main gripe with it is that if you showed someone this movie who has never played or enjoyed the franchise, they would think it was dog shit. That's the big problem with the FNAF movie. It's so inaccessible to anyone who's not a fan of FNAF already. And looking at it from a movie critic's standpoint, it's just not a great movie altogether. And for a movie about a horror game, they really missed the mark on the horror part. I don't know what it was, but the games make me feel unnerved and actually kinda scared sometimes. But the most the movie did for me was just make me feel a little bit uncomfortable, and that was during the couple jump scares they kinda just sprinkled in there. There were enough entertaining bits in the whole film for me to say that I did kind of enjoy it though, but only as a FNAF fan like I was saying, because a lot of my enjoyment actually came from the Easter eggs and references to the games and YouTubers and all that. The animatronic designs were also cool as fuck and done really well, so I do have to give credit where credit is due. But overall, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is just kind of a mediocre movie saved by a couple redeeming qualities. I'm still a big fan of the franchise though, and if they can take into account what people are saying while making the sequel, I think that they can make something really good. So now let's talk more about TV shows, because I think I watch a lot more shows than I do movies. So the Halo show. Dog shit. It doesn't even really deserve to be talked about honestly, but here I am. It got cancelled after only 2 seasons, but for a really good reason. It's such a waste of good source material, because it was made by people who obviously didn't want to be there. It barely even feels like Halo, and it's just an awful show with the Halo branding slapped on it. The writing sucks and it feels really watered down, just taking bits and pieces of the games and throwing them into the story randomly. And the amount of stuff they changed about all the characters and ideas just makes me angry. Halo is actually perfect for the big screen, but this was just a bad attempt at an adaptation. Again though, the VFX, costumes, and set pieces are awesome. It's always the artists carrying bad movies and shows. That's all I want to talk about it. This thing is just not it. There is a show that I am really worried for as well, and it's not even out yet. The Yakuza / Like a Dragon show. Every announcement and statement they make about it just brings my expectations lower and lower. And I absolutely love Yakuza and pretty much everything affiliated with it. Like if you haven't played any of the games, you should definitely go do that right now. Or at least after the video. But that's why I'm so worried for the show. So it's releasing on Amazon, which is alright because Amazon's kind of been on a hot streak lately, especially with video game adaptations. But from the sound of it, the show is going to be kind of like its own thing, but with the Yakuza name slapped on it as well as some references sprinkled in there. Kind of like the Halo show. Sure, it's supposed to be more loosely based on the games, but at the same time, that's almost not what I want. And by having none of the cast play the games, it just feels like, again, they don't have people actually almost passionate, I guess, about what they're working on in a way, which is the issue with a lot of other adaptations. And I wasn't super impressed like I thought I would be with the little teaser they put out, but that doesn't really change much. I really hope that it turns out good, but I guess I'll see. My hopes for it aren't completely in the dumpster, and I'm only worried for it because of how much I love Yakuza. And then again, I feel like Amazon can help crank out something good, hopefully. And on the topic of upcoming adaptations, I want to kind of give my 2 cents on the Minecraft movie. Or a Minecraft movie as it's called. This shit does not look promising. It looks like it's going to be another rough watch. I will say though, the setting and VFX look absolutely beautiful, but the characters look so incredibly out of place, and the costumes look like they're for a school play. And Jack Black playing Steve is a really weird choice to me, and it's a choice very reminiscent of the Borderlands casting. A big name put in the film for the sake of having a big name. I don't know why it's live action or what they did with the $150 million budget, but they better be paying the effects team at least 75% of that, and maybe give the costume designers a bag of Doritos or something at most. In all seriousness though, there seems to be a lot of really weird decisions being made during the production of this. But it's still a bit away from being released, so maybe they'll make some changes like how they did with the Sonic movie a while back. But right now, I think the execution of this film is, or I guess will be, really something, and not something good. The big overarching theme that I noticed with almost every video game movie, or even movies in general, is that VFX artists, graphic designers, and really everyone on that side of film production always carry. And in return for making movies not absolute dog shit, they get super overlooked and super underpaid. And animators too, that's another big one. But anyways, take Spider-Man for example. Chances are you're not watching the movie to see people pushing 30 role-playing high schoolers, but rather to see the cool-ass fight sequences, which is made possible by choreographers and the effects team. I know that this isn't some crazy take, but the message definitely needs to still be spread. So 2024 seems to be the year for video game adaptations, with some being really surprisingly good, and others being unsurprisingly dog shit. But this is all mostly subjective, so it's cool if you have different opinions. Also, this video is taking forever to get out because I got sick and school started again, but I will be trying to hopefully fix my upload schedule. But that's gonna do it for today. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and sub and all that. Goodbye.